Look, it's Josh Horowitz.
And this
World famous Josh Horowitz right here.
Calm down. This is Mr. Shia LaBeouf.
You guys know about Josh Horowitz?
Just stop it.
That's a big fucking deal right here.
All right, just calm the fuck down.
Thanks
man.
for being here, Josh.
Let's give it up for the amazing performance and writer of Honey Boy.
Thanks for coming. All right.
Congratulations, buddy.
Thanks.
I mean, this is where this film belongs. Angelika, the kind of like the heart of indie film in New York.
Home, yeah. I got it. I've been wearing this hat for a while. It's 2015.
We were just talking. So was it the last time you were here in a little bit of a different context?
Yeah, I was living here in that theater over there for 3 days. Living here. It's a wonderful place.
So every film getting to the big screen is kind of a miracle.
Yeah.
But this one feels like, in particular, miracle might not be the word for it. I don't even know what's
Unicorn?
Yeah.
Mermaid? Yeah, it was a wild journey. Sure. You want to hear about that journey, Josh?
You know what? We're here anyway. We got microphones.
All right.
Where does it begin?
Yeah, so it begins, I get arrested in Georgia for being a fuck-up and talking crazy to a cop, and get terrorizing a police officer charge, and they say, all right, 4 years of this mental institution, sort of this open-ended thing. I'm not built for prison. So I was blessed in that he gave me this other option. I checked myself into this mental facility. It's a court-ordered, city-run rehab facility, but there's like pyromaniacs in there, people with PTSD, there's pedophiles. It's a wild place to be. And they said, hey, you have PTSD and there's a way out. You got to start writing. And my roommate was a journalist. He's on NPR now. I won't say any names, but so he was writing, so that was motivating. My therapist was having me check out this certain chapter that you just ran through with me, and started audio recording these sessions called exposure therapy, which is basically like scene study. It's like Gestalt therapy, where you run through this chapter of your life, you keep talking about it till it's boring, till this stuff don't hurt no more. So I had recorded all these conversations I had with my dad, and then once a week I'd get this computer, and then I started transcribing all this audio files into digital notes, and then there's a website called Grammarly, and then I would take all my stuff and put it on Grammarly, make it look real cute, and felt pretty good about it. And I had one friend who was still talking to me, this woman named Alma Harrell, who's a wizard, who I've basically been in touch with for 7 years now with any auxiliary, anything that's not like studio work or like a real movie, and sent her this stuff because nobody in the real movie world was trying to fuck with me. I was quite atomic at this time. I'd just been fired by Spike Lee, and if Spike Lee can't get you in a Spike Lee joint, you're fully fucked. And so I sent this stuff to Alma. She's like, hey, maybe this is a narrative. She was working on a TV show at the time. And she's like, hey, we should start grinding on this for real. And that made me feel hopeful. And so I just was a writer, just writing the story. And then I got about 70 pages in, sent it to this actor I really like named Mel Gibson, who's always been a champion for me. And, full-blown fuck-up too. But but gave me hope, I mean, if you're a full fuck-up like what I am, you only got a couple of guys to look towards, and, he's one of them. I remember being in that facility, and it was right around Oscar time, and his bearded, beautiful ass is walking around with his chin held high at the Oscars, and I'm thinking, this fucking guy is this is a miracle that he can walk around like this, that heavy burden, It's not easy to face the world again when you're fully ashamed of yourself. So I needed somebody to look at, and he was a guy. So I sent him this stuff, and he was fully supportive. And said he didn't want to play it, but he was supportive. So that was another little angel who was motivating me. And came out this rehab after 2 months and went to go see Alma. She's like, we got a good 70 pages, but we got to get you out of the motel, and we got to get you to go see your father and find some kind of ending, some kind of closure. I hadn't spoken to my dad in 7 years at this point. And went out there and read him some pages, told him Mel Gibson loves it and he wants to play you. And my dad's like, Braveheart, me? All right, I can see it. So he signed the paperwork, sent me on my merry way, had some conversations with me. We loved on each other. It was quite sweet. And came back with this audio files and started grinding with Alma again.
What's the first scene that you wrote? Do you remember the first
Yeah.
Did it end up on the big screen?
It was linear. It was all about, you know, tiny dick stuff. Just a bunch of lines about like, you know, I mean, it was different because what actually happened was my dad, I used to take showers with my dad when I was quite young, you know, 3 or 4. He used to put his dick in his hand and be like, I'm French. You'll never have this because your mother's Jewish. And that shit stuck with me. It made me aggressive and had a Napoleonic complex. It made me scared to be naked in front of people, physically, not emotionally, but just be naked in front of women. And, you know, shit made me very, like, insecure for a long time. And so, yeah, I wrote about that stuff a lot. And my relationship with masculinity and that stuff was some of the first shit, like the whole scene when he's walking in the laundry room and then walking back to the room and doing the juggling. It was all quite linear when I wrote it. Alma is a wizard. She's the one who played with the structure like she did.
This is a film that was shot in a remarkably short period of time. You shot
19 days.
19 days, which is insane.
Yeah.
Pretty low budget too. So I mean, was it tough to get to the first day of production? I mean,
low budget for you, Josh Horowitz.
Well, usually the films I'm talking to you involve giant robots, you know. So we've been through all of it.
Yeah.
But was it? I mean, this is also a pretty quick turnaround from the time you got out of rehab to the time you're on set. Is how long?
2 weeks.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's fully crazy. She got funding and Mel helped also, but she got financing. Yeah, it's about we spent I think 3.3 or something like that. She wound up getting this money from a woman named Daniela, who I met the day I came out of rehab, who was just this one of the sweetest women I've ever met, and trusting, you know. Here you got this 3-legged racehorse talking about I can win the race, and she's like, yeah, I believe in you, and she did. And she gave us our funding and gave us freedom, and we had about not on set but 2 weeks into prep. So we had about 2 weeks dealing with bureaucratic stuff, figuring out paperwork, and then sent it to Lucas. And when Hedges read it, then it got very real. Then he came out to L.A. and we started prepping real good. Then we found the kid and all that.
Well, let's talk about that kid, because I mean, you guys just saw Noah Jupe just kills it in this as young Otis. He's amazing, right? Yeah.
I'll tell him you clap for him.
British kid, different kind of upbringing than you. What's it like to? What
British kid, beautiful jaw. Yeah.
What did you see in him?
Well, at first I didn't see nothing. I thought, no fucking way. You're British. Your father's a real sweet, charming guy. You seem like you got a stable life. I don't know what you're gonna do here. I remember meeting his father and thinking, this is a really charming, stable guy. And then I said, well, where's your kid? And he pointed out at this glass doors, and I saw this kid pacing back and forth, and I thought, oh, all right. And I went outside and I called his name and he didn't respond, and I thought, okay. And just went over and sat by my truck, and he paced back over, and I said, hey man, you want to run these scenes? And he looked up at me and bang right into it. And you know, it's like 12-page scenes. You gotta be pretty technically savvy for 12 years old at the time. And he was just plowing through these pages. And then we sat on my truck and ran it again, and I said, hey, let's try something else, and threw him a couple curveballs, and he floated with me, and he could play jazz, and we found rhythm with each other, and he sounded great, and I thought, well, all right, midway through reading these things, I'm thinking, all right, well, you don't have the background, and you're from London, but, if you care about me, then that's all I need from you, I just need you to love me. I need you to care about me and want me to like you. It's what I had with my dad. I just wanted my dad to like me. So I took my hat off middle way through the scene and put it on his head. I was wearing a Giants hat. Put it on his head, and I saw his eyes well up and thought, wow, there he is. And Alma came out, started filming, and that was like the starting lineup pretty much. And then we went back in. Lucas was in the room, and it was me, Lucas, and Noah, and a casting woman on the camera. And it was like, all right, let's do it for the money now, basically. We had to get the financiers to sign off on it, and we did it again, and he, sure enough, he fucking brilliant, so they signed off.
You obviously in the film you don't share much screen time with Lucas, but did you want to see what he was doing? Was that helpful? I mean, you have a big job as an actor, but can you wear a couple hats and sort of be there as advisor in a way? or did you kind of let him do his thing?
Well, I mean, I'm a prep whore, you know. I'm a real prep whore. I really prep pretty hard because I'm super insecure, as you know. And he was prepping like I've never seen. I've never seen anybody. I've been doing this 24 years. I've never seen anyone prep like him. He scared the shit out of me. Just really scary. Hadn't been scared that way ever by no actor. Never. I mean, I've been around Gary Oldman. I've been around some G's, you know. And I never seen anything like this. It terrified me and made me move out of my house. So he was showing up at my house every day and rummaging through my closet, and I wake up, he'd be in the kitchen, you know. It was just kind of just scared the shit out of me. And then about 2 weeks of that, and I had to check out because I was starting to get intimidated, and went and moved into the motel, and he lived in my house and just kept prepping, and then Noah moved in, and him and Noah were living in the house, and I was gone. So yeah, he scared me. He's the best. He is the best actor I've ever been around. Yeah, in my whole life. He's just fucking phenomenal in the future. I mean, he does it. He's so technically sound, and fully available. I've never met anybody like him. He's better than I ever was on any day the whole time I've done this, and has such a crazy future. I just am so honored to have been able to float with him in whatever capacity. We had scenes where that I had written these long page scenes at the end, and they turned into mud. I was so scared. Just so he intimidated the shit out of me. So they never wound up in the movie because we never found the truth. I was just so scared. That's my version of it. Alma might have a different version, but I wasn't prepared for him.
Safe to say, virtually everything in this film happened either pretty close to the way it was depicted in this film, or
Pretty close.
yeah. What are some specific lines or moments you knew you had to, when you started to kind of like get serious about the screenplay, that you were excited, maybe is the wrong word, but felt like imperative to your story that needed to be in there?
You know, making a movie about you, Dad. Yeah, make me look good, honey boy. That happened in real time, and it floored me. My dad's some kind of street poet, you know, but also really caustic kind of cowboy George Carlin without the intelligence type guy. And I knew that was going to be in. Some of the jokes I remember, you know, a lot of the chicken stuff I remember was definitely going to be in. Just some sounds, like, you know, my dad did a lot of cocaine, so I knew he was going to be very nasal, but not nebbishy nasal, some kind of cowboy nasal.
What was it nose plugs involved there?
Yeah, I tried doing it myself, but it just became shit. So, and then, I was working on finding the sound for a while, and then just started stuffing, like, plugging my nose with these earplugs, and smoking a lot, and then it slowed me down. You know, my pace is quite quick, and so I had to work on pace and breathing control and stuff like that. Yeah, I knew that was a lot of the sound and the timing.
You were saying the other day that like one of the heartbreaking lines that Otis says.
He also walked different because he had a
Right.
huge. My dad had a huge dick, you know. So he just kind of walked so different, you know. I curled up a bit. My dad was just like, you know, just a different kind of
Right.
walk, just a slow stroll, like, you know, here I am, world. So I wear a big dildo all the time on set. For real.
Still wearing it? No.
No, now
Okay.
I'm just me.
Right.
That's why I'm all curled up. But yeah, but I'd be on set, and you know, the crew would see me fucking around with this thing, and you know, so many weird, funny, like beautiful moments with the crew. Yeah.
I mean, you engineered this. It sounds like with Alma and the DP to as you can tell, like Shia could talk for hours on end about acting, about just sort of like creating a environment for actors to do their thing in the best possible way. What were the ways that you knew this film had to be shot that were unique to the process that you wanted to use for this one?
I had been on a Lars von Trier set a while back, and I remember how he did it, and sort of he created dance floors, and he'd bring out a chalkboard, and he'd be like, you know, like some kind of football thing. He'd be like, all right, well, here's the play, you know, and Charlotte's going to come in here, she's going to watch a movie, and when she's done watching the movie, then she'll walk into the kitchen, and the camera will be right here. And I just remember thinking, like, you're not going to call action? You're just going to let her watch a whole fucking movie? And sure enough, they mount the camera and she'd watch a whole movie. And they'd film the whole time and use none of it, but it would prep the set. It would prime the set for like this truth. It's something to sit there, the patience of a crew to be able to like, you know, and that freedom that I knew that there wasn't going to be any trigger. I never wanted any actions or cut called, you know, and Alma was sort of with that. And so were the rest of the actors. There would be no cues, and we'd sort of float in and out of things. And, you know, she'd say, Noah, you sit in there. You know, you smoke that cigarette. When you put the cigarette out, we'll start up. So he'd sit in there, and by the time he was done with the cigarette, everybody would be disappeared. You know, there's like different ways to get into scenes. So we talked about stuff like that. She'd light the whole motel. You know, everything was functional. So if you wanted to get up and take a piss or something, or if you wanted to go wash your face, you know, everything was quite functional. She just made it as honest as we could get it, really. Everything was sort of a very working set. Everything, you could go anywhere. There was no marks, and there was no cues, and there was no rehearsals. So, like, our DP is she's another wizard. You know, she would light the whole room, and then she'd be outside on this wireless dimmer. And there was all these, like, functional LED panels everywhere. So, you know, I didn't know if I was going to go over here and sit down and say the whole monologue, or if I was going to sit on the bed, or if I was going to be in the bathroom, you know. Twigs would come in, hit me. I didn't know where I was going to land. We were just sort of floating, and then she would light in real time. So it was like the DP was playing jazz with the actors, and everybody was sort of floating with each other. And it made for a very focused set, and felt magical when we would get it. And, you know, 1 or 2 takes usually.
So this film, as we've seen in the film, and you talk about it today, it started essentially as therapy, as a way to heal. Did it help the relationship with your dad?
Yeah, me and him are solid. I talked to him this morning. He's just so happy, you know. He's just so happy. I can't even describe it. It's just really nuts how this whole thing. Yeah, he's really happy.
Well, that seems probably the priority number one. So glad to hear that. But the nice bonus is that you've shared it with the world, and it's obviously connecting with everybody. Congratulations on making a great piece.
Thanks, man.
Of entertainment, man.
Josh
Shia LaBeouf,
Horowitz,
everybody.
world famous Josh Horowitz, was able to get off his private plane for us today.
Just cut off his mic. Just cut it off.